let's start about what is meant by OS. So you all know that the full form of OS, operating system. So can you imagine a computer without OS? No, of course not. Without an OS, a computer's hardware and software would be useless. Let's see this picture in detail. So consider the operating system or your computer has three layers. The inner layer we call it as a hardware, and the middle layer we call it as a system software, and the final layer or the topmost layer we call it as application software. So we call this system software as operating system. So that's why we say that without the system software we cannot communicate with the hardware as well as we cannot communicate with your application software. What are all the application softwares? Your Microsoft Office, Adobe Photoshop, or Adobe Reader, or even a Paint, even a games, all comes under your application software. Your hardware is nothing but monitor, scanner, printer, keyboard, mouse, everything comes under your hardware. So when the user needs to use your printer or needs to use your mouse, this operating system will have a communication with this hardware device. That's where the operating system is a supervisor. We call the operating system as a supervisor so that the user can communicate with the software, in turn can communicate with the hardware. Okay, so what happens before the operating system enters? When we switch on the computer, what happens when we switch on the computer? At that time, the Windows desktop will not come in front of you immediately. Instead, it just allocates some time for booting. Why do we need booting? This booting process will wake up the operating system from the hard disk. So this BIOS, we have a software called BIOS, Basic Input Output System. This BIOS is a software which is being loaded in ROM. ROM is also a memory. We call that ROM as a main memory. So in this main memory, this BIOS will be loaded. And once that is being loaded, it performs a test. What type of test is that? Power on self test. So which just checks whether your monitor is perfectly alright, your mouse is alright to communicate, your keyboard, your scanner, your printer, whatever the devices are being connected is being tested by this post. Once that is being done, immediately this BIOS will wake up the operating system from your hard disk. And once that is being awakened, that will be sent to RAM. On the whole, we call ROM and RAM as a main memory. ROM is nothing but read-only memory. We cannot delete any programs in the ROM. In the RAM, the full form of RAM is random access memory. In this random access memory, all your users' data, operating system, as well as your application softwares will be loaded in the RAM until you work in the system. Okay, now my operating system is ready to communicate. So the user is ready to communicate with the computer, and even the computer responds to the user. Thank you for watching this video.